So on the dumb, why do you think Andor is underperforming? People love the show, but it is by far one of the least demand by the numbers. Why do you think Andor is underperforming? So my guess as to why Andor is underperforming, few different things. First one is that it's called Andor and it's about a character from a movie that is infamous for having forgettable characters. That was the big criticism when Rogue One came out, is that, yeah, I mean, it was a pretty cool experience. Great third act. Loved that it went dark. Great Darth Vader sequence, but, you know, the characters aren't the most compelling. And so then they took one of these characters that's not compelling and not very memorable and made him the title character of a show, in which case people just kind of went, I'm not really interested in that character. He didn't strike a chord with me. He wasn't memorable. So why would I want to check this out? So I think that's a big part of the problem. I don't think they did themselves any favors by calling it Andor. If they'd found something else to call it, like Rebellion or Rebel Strikes, I don't know. These are all terrible names, but you get my point. That, you know, brainstorm something that makes it clear that this is Rebellion, the TV show, and you do the trailer and it's clear that he's the lead character. But when you watch the show, you know, he's one of the lead characters. He gets the most screen time, but he's not really even the leader in most situations. The Prison Break, he's the person encouraging Andy Serkis to be the leader. And it's all these other people that are driving a lot of these things forward. And it's just a very interesting way to do a lead character that doesn't portray who he was before, doesn't make him more inspiring, more of a leader, but you can see the role that he actually plays. And then Mon Mothma is his major character, and Stellan Skarsgård is his major character, and then we have Saw Gerrera in there. And you make it clear it's an ensemble about the rebellion, where we have Rogue One characters, but we have Mon Mothma, and we have these other characters as well in there. And I think it probably would attract more people than being like, yeah, that character you forgot about, didn't care about, you know, see his origin story. It doesn't sound very compelling when you put it that way. Other big problem we have here is you just have franchise fatigue. There's too much premium television dropping right now for people to keep up with all of it. Andor dropped at the same time that we had a Marvel show, House of the Dragon, Lord of the Rings. There's just so many premium shows, gigantic franchises, all stacked on top of each other, in addition to whatever other kind of random shows that everybody watches. And you have people just kind of being like, I can't keep up with all of it. There's just too much dropping right now. And I would guess that's going to start to be a pretty big problem for everyone. That there's just too much being dropped in theaters, on streaming, and there's only so much time that people have to consume it. And the numbers are just going to overall drop as everyone's kind of spread thin. Other thing you have to throw in there is Star Wars is a damaged brand, where Book of Boba Fett seemed to pretty universally be... I haven't seen a lot of people like, Book of Boba Fett, that was awesome, just as good as The Mandalorian. Most everyone was like, it didn't really work when it was about Boba Fett. And then we had 2 episodes that were Mandalorian episodes just squished into the middle of it. That was weird. And then Obi-Wan split audiences. And a lot of us were really disappointed by it. A lot of people loved it too. But you go from 3 Star Wars seasons in a row that were kind of fan servicey, like, hey, look, it's Luke Skywalker. Hey, look, it's Hayden Christensen returning, and mixed results in there. And then you drop a show that's none of that. Has none of that. Like, you've built your audience for Star Wars on, hey, look who it is. And then you drop a show that isn't any of that. Hey, look, it's Cassian Andor. Not quite the same thing. And instead, it's kind of mature. It's about very complex characters. It's about how the rebellion were terrorists. I mean, the end of this last episode, the whole monologue from Stellan Skarsgård is about how I use the tools of my enemy. I will never see the victory of all of this. I've become a monster. I've sacrificed he gives this incredible monologue about how he knows he is kind of in some ways just as bad as the Empire because he needs to stop the Empire. and it's just morally conflicted. It's not simple good versus evil. It's this whole other thing. And when you've built your audience on, hey, look who it is, simple storytelling, stuff that sells toys, it's tough. Combine that with people didn't like some of these recent shows. The movies aren't going anywhere. They're announcing 1,000 projects that aren't going to happen, and we all know it. And then there's just so many things dropping. There's only so much time, and I think it's all of that combined. It's not a simple answer. It's not a clean answer. It's a bunch of different factors all at once, and it almost feels weird. Like, compare Andor to everything else on Disney Plus, all the other shows, and it's just this whole other level of writing with the complexity and everything. It's a different beast altogether. And I'm just not sure if maybe they're figuring that out. I can't say too much about this. I've already seen the first 3 episodes of Willow. And it's very much in tune with the original movie. It's lighthearted family fantasy adventure. It's not mature like Andor, but the episodes are 45 to 55 minutes long. And there's like, you're telling actual character arcs in there. And I don't know if Lucasfilm is just figuring out that stuff we were doing before with the 25-minute episodes, that's not the formula. And they're like, all right, now let's kind of tell these longer stories. I don't know if they're figuring that out, but yeah, I think it's almost a fluke that we're getting something like Andor.